Yo, what's up guys? Blake here. Happy Friday everybody, and today we're going to be talking about Ratbeard's dev diary. So basically, if you guys don't know, the dev diary is just a little post that he does every now and then talking about the future of PvP and changes that are coming to the game. So I have not read it yet. I don't know what's in there, but people have said it looks pretty good, and I'm kind of just going to read it and give my thoughts, all that good stuff. So let's get right into it. So, hello Wizards. Hello again. We have an amazing amount of changes to cover, but we'll start with the usual caveat. Unless otherwise specified, see spell audits below. The changes we discuss here only apply to PvP. So before anybody freaks out, goes, yo, what's happening, man? It's just for PvP, not for PvE, unless explicitly stated. So what even is Rhoshambo? I talked about this a bit earlier, but yeah, it's basically this thing right here. The children's game goes by different names across the world, most notably Rhoshambo. But here in the US, it's probably better known as rock, paper, scissors. For us Wiz designers, Rhoshambo simply describes a more interesting interplay between the schools than the binary A-B relationships that you currently experience through the mainline content. In a binary relationship like fire and ice, you are simultaneously strong and weak against the same school. You boost on them, they boost on you. But this doesn't really offer the player any interesting decision points. That makes sense. A Rhoshambo system is cyclical. Rock is good against scissors, but weak versus paper. Paper is good versus rock, but weak versus scissors. And scissors are good versus paper, but weak versus rock. If you are a rock, you might choose to cross-trade elements of scissors to boost your offense against paper. Or you might choose some tools from paper to give you an edge against other rocks. You can even do both, as long as you don't start to spread yourself too thin. So that's pretty interesting, you know, kind of how he's getting into it, and sort of relating that to Wiz. Players of our Beast Moon events, which we first released in Summer 19 update, are already familiar with the Wiz Rhoshambo illustration below. This one right here that we've already talked about. If you can remember at least one mnemonic from each set, you'll be able to remember the entire relationship wheel. I typically use fire melts ice and death ends life, but your reference here, here's the whole thing. Fire melts ice, ice freezes storm, storm extinguishes fire. Okay, I don't know about, I mean, I guess, yeah, extinguishes makes sense, never mind. Death ends life, life precedes myth. Myth endures beyond death. Alright, that's kind of cool, actually. I like that. Balance right in the middle has no counter relationship with any particular school. Balance is kind of like that wild card, you know? It's like, what do you do? Because it's so different than the other ones, and it doesn't really make sense in that sort of cyclical pattern. But I'm really excited with the path that they're going with it. Interestingly enough, that image exists in the earliest concept work of Wiz, and references to those original Rhoshambo relationships can still be found in various places in the lore. That's pretty cool, actually. I think what he's talking about is, like, you know how, like, in Ravenwood, like in the library, there's, like, Boris Tallstaff or whatever his name is. You can talk to him, and then he does, like, a quest that talks about the school. And they say, like, you know, the fires are like, you know, they're just like the titans and dragons and stuff like that. I think that might be what he's referring to. So Rhoshambo PvP and PvE, but it's probably going to be a lot less. So why reintroduce the Rhoshambo at this time? It helps us solve a few problems, not just with PvP, but with school identity and game complexity in general. The primary relationships are simple and easy to remember and help inform players toward their school identity, towards deck building, and even in advancing the game state towards victory. Very interesting. Okay, this is important. Deck building is a major concern that a lot of people have been talking about, because it's already pretty difficult in this meta, with, you know, main deck enchants and all the cards that you have to pack. Now they're adding all these new spells, the Onis, the Djinns, the Ramps, the new Scions. Like, people are going to be packing so many cards, it's going to be really difficult to cycle, and people are going to deck fail a lot. So I really hope that they address this concern more. For example, you should know that if you are playing fire, you will be strong against ice, and the spells that you use, damage over times, are likely to be very good in dealing with the things that ice is good at, creating and leveraging shields. If you're playing some other school, you would likewise know that using spells from the fire school are likely to lead you to victory against ice, just as you would know that using life spells, in particular healing spells, which remove damage after an attack, will help you win against a myth, a school known for making it difficult to prevent damage before they attack. The intent is that skill being equal. Okay, that's good. Some single school matchups are unwinnable. Wait, the intent is that skill being equal, some single school matchups are unwinnable. The fact that they are unwinnable will be why someone who wants to improve needs to go multi-school. Okay, this makes sense. I understand this. At first I was like, hold up, what? Like, that's really bad, you know what I mean? But that makes perfect sense, because I think the angle that they're trying to go for and what they want people to do is they want to encourage that sort of balanced approach. As he was explaining earlier here, you know how, you know, so if you're a rock, you might want to do some paper stuff or whatever. I think that's kind of what he's explaining in this section here, is basically multi-class or multi-school spell and setup is going to be encouraged to deal with that kind of matchup. And there's going to be a lot of diversity and variety because you're going to have to choose to what extent, right? Because as Rapbeard said, if you're leveraged too far, like you can't play every single school, otherwise you're spread out too thin and you're not going to be able to, you know, play well or successfully. But if you're only very rigid and you're only like, okay, I'm going to fire with only fire spells, you're going to get clapped by other schools that are ready to counter that. So I think this is kind of interesting if implemented correctly, and it could be really good for the game. And like I said, add a lot of diversity and variety as long as it's done in a fashion, in a way that allows good counterplay on both sides, and it's not just, oh, I'm fire, so I beat Ice GG before the game even starts, right? There are two main types of spells that emerge from the Rhoshambo, which we call Gambits and Ramps. Gambits are attack spells that leverage certain conditions, either on yourself or your opponent, into a greater advantage. For PvP, our first Gambits deal ×2 damage when their condition is met, much like the silent spells you already know. In fact, our first Gambit for each school is a reworking of the silent spells to better fit the school identity informed by the Rhoshambo. There's also a new Jin Gambit for each school, as well as an Oni, aka Elephant, that is specifically designed for players who want to jump right into dual school checks that are built around a specific condition. Interesting. The ramp spells are usually utilities that clear hanging effects from the target and create new hanging effects that work with your gambits. For example, the Silent of Ice Gambit does double damage if you have 4 or more positive wards on yourself. The first Ice ramp can be used to remove positive charms blades from the enemy and turns them into shields on yourself. You may have noticed that the ramps counter the hanging effects that your enemies are creating, but at the same time they're creating hanging effects that your enemies may use. This is what makes the gambit spells risky to use. In order to meet the condition on the gambit, you must create hanging effects that a well-prepared opponent can use to ramp his own gambit. So yeah, that's basically, so like for example, you might be thinking, oh, Ice sounds cracked, like you just get 4 shields and then, you know, you can use it. But the thing is, there are other ramps that turn those shields into blades, or turn those shields into weaknesses, for example. So you have to take risk and kind of think what your opponent has, and throughout the match, I guess, you know, diversify your strategy and adjust. Because if you see, oh man, you know, this fire has like a death mastery and is converting my shields into weaknesses, or whatever, you know, ramp that is, right? Then you're gonna learn and you're not gonna play that play style. You're gonna have to adjust, right? So it's kind of interesting. I like that. Also keep in mind that the gambits, like the actual attack spells, you lose the effect after. So for example, the Ice Scion, which does 2 times damage if you have 4 or more shields, if you use the Ice Scion, you lose 4 shields. So it is also a risk to actually use it. It's a risk to set it up, and it's a risk to actually go through with it. The Rhoshambo will also help us guide players towards more interesting deck and gear setups that include spells from more than one school. Yeah, so as I was saying earlier. And for high-level wizards, that means mastery. That's awesome. We'll have more to say about our long-term plans for mastery soon, but in the short term, we're taking a look at gear options available to players and making sure that you have mastery options that don't leave your other stats behind. This is great. It's not going to affect stats negatively. It seems like everybody's going to kind of be shifting towards it, which, like I said, adds so much more diversity and variety. You can now do so many more things. So I think this is awesome. It's like opening a door to a whole new, a bunch of possibilities, basically. But like I said earlier, my biggest concern right now is that deck failing is going to be a massive problem, because like I said, people already complain about deck failing right now. If now you have a mastery, so you're packing in the ramps for your school, 2 or 3 other schools, all these gambits, onis, like, yeah, how are you going to fit it all, you know what I mean, and cycle. So that's definitely a concern. 3 new gambits and 4 new ramps for every school is a big slate of new spells. Because they're specifically designed to support the Rhoshambo and PvP, their initial release will be PvP only, which I think is probably a good thing. We certainly do intend to release these spells for PvE as soon as we can. We have a few things we want to set up properly first. Artie will have more to say about PvE in his own dev notes soon. I'm definitely going to want to read that. And we'll have a PvE focused roundtable, which Spark will announce around the same time. That's lit. Definitely looking forward to that. Chess timer, Diego no bueno. At long last, with this update, 1v1 ranked will be switching from the current 30-minute timer with the decision by Diego conclusion to a chess timer style. Here's how it works. Okay, this is the first time we've actually seen specifics, you know. Each player has a fixed amount of time on their personal timer, for example, 10 minutes. During your own planning phase, which remains limited to 20 seconds, your timer counts down. As soon as you select your spell and the execution phase begins, your timer stops counting down. So yeah, you don't lose your time based on cinematic. It's just the timer goes down just for the planning phase. If you pass, there's a time penalty. So that simply passing over and over can't win you a timer match. Okay. When your opponent's planning phase starts, their timer starts counting down. Plays goes back and forth with each player's timer only counting down. If your timer reaches 0 seconds, you'll lose. Okay, I thought they'd go more into detail. Like, I thought they would say exactly how much time the timer would be. For example, 10 minutes. Or they'd say, like I think if you heal, there's also a penalty. Like, I wish they would go more into specifics. But obviously, chess timer, when done properly, is much better than the current timer. And it's going to be good. Because, yeah, Diego, no bueno, dude. Diego is no bueno. During the match, you will see a yellow warning indicator when your timer drops below a certain threshold. That adds to, like, the intensity. I like that. And an additional red warning indicator when it drops dangerously low. You cannot see your opponent's exact time remaining on their clock. What? But you will see the yellow or red warning indicators. Okay, I think you should be able to see their time. Because, like, in chess, you can see their time. You know what I mean? So, like, why? I mean, I get it. Like, they don't want people to play for the timer. Like, they don't want people to win by, you know, the other person, like, forcing the other person to go to 0 by, like, stalling or, like, you know, stuff like that. So, I understand that it's like, oh, they only have a minute left, so let me just stall. But at the same time, like, I feel like you should be able to see your opponent's timer. And, like, really sweaty people might even just have a timer that they just click whenever it's their opponent's turn, you know? So, I don't know if that's a great idea. Could work, but they should, you know, definitely test it out. We will begin testing the chess timer with 10 minutes. Oh, okay, now they're getting into it. 600 seconds on each player's chess timer. That seems like a decent amount of time, because the current timer is 30 minutes, but that also accounts for animations, right? So I think 10 minutes on each side is a good starting point, right? This number was derived from analyzing hundreds of thousands of 1v1 ranked matches that went all the way to the current 30-minute timer. That's insane. Hundreds of thousands of 1v1 matches that went to the current timer. So that's a lot of Pvp games. This translates to 30 turns per player, assuming each player used all 20 seconds of the planning phase, which of course most won't. Nevertheless, over the course of an entire match, we expect the average number of turns to more or less hold true. As a result, we think that the total actual match time, including time for both players' spell animations, should fall between 30 and 40 minutes. Wait. We think that the total actual match time... Oh, okay. I think what this means is that the maximum, it's saying like the maximum a game would last would be between 30 and 40. Not like the average game is going to be 30 to 40 minutes long, you know. When we initially bring the chess timer to test run, we will bring it out at a very simple, straightforward form. However, we built additional parameters that we can implement if it becomes necessary to prevent certain exploits, including bonus increments, which reward quick, valid plays, and time penalties. Okay, so I think, yeah, this is gonna, you know, deal with jading and you know, stalling and stuff like that, but they're gonna adjust as they see players, you know, try to adapt, right? No Pvp Enchant. We now have added a setting for spells, no Pvp Enchant, which we will enable for specific spells. As of this update, all Shadow Enhanced hits and all the new Gambit spells will be set to no Pvp Enchant. Okay, so that means that all of the attacks, right? So all the Onis, all the Jinns, all the new Scions, those spells cannot be enchanted. And he also mentioned Shadow Enhanced Hit. So a spell like S'mores, for example, or Abominable Weaver, or Grenadier, those spells cannot be enchanted either. So that's going to be a pretty significant nerf to Shad Hits, which is probably a good thing, because Shad Hit damage is just through the roof. So that's kind of interesting. This will bring the burst damage of hits down, while at the same time allowing players to use and enchant other spells in their library. We hope this increases the variety of spells used in PvP. That's awesome. Like I said, I think overall this is good. The only thing I'm concerned about is, like, for example, S'mores, right? I think it does base damage, like, what, 1095 to 1215, something like that. A high-end Elephant with a Solar Surge would do basically like 1,000 damage, so a little bit less than the low end of a S'more. So S'more is still better, and you know, if you're trying to get as much damage as possible, then yeah, you're still better off with the Shad. But you might see a lot of other people, you know, going for their 6-pip hits because they get the full 300 off the Surge, and the damage is pretty comparable to a Shad. So I hope that doesn't mean that people are just gonna spam their, you know, 6-pip spells, but that's cool that it adds for diversity, because you don't really see people using that, right? You see some people run Trident or Elephant, but like, you don't see anybody running Colossus or Centaur, really, you know, at max level. So that's pretty cool. I like that. Incidentally, although these changes apply only to Pve, we have a setting for no Pve Enchant as well. Wow, okay, with both settings flags, we can exclude spells from enchanting entirely. I don't know why there would be, like, why would you have to... The problem with the enchant for PvP is that the damage just goes, like, insane, right? And I guess for PvE, you also want to monitor that, but I don't think that's, like, a concern. So, I mean, that's interesting, but I don't think it's, like, super important. Anyway, show PvP rank and inspect opponent. Okay, I like that. We have 2 new UI features for this update. The first is show P rank. It should perhaps be more aptly called hide PvP rank. Wait, okay. The first is show, but it could be hide. In effect, when this setting is off, so by default, I'm guessing it's on, your P rank will not show up when your wizard is inspected. Okay, so people can hide their rank if they don't want to show it. That's cool. This P panel is not displayed as part of the information available via inspect. Okay, that's awesome, because a lot of people feel insecure about their rank and stuff, so people won't feel like they need to boost or whatever, or, you know, if you just don't care, like, I like that. That's good, that's good. Of course, there are times when your PvP rank must be shown, most notably at the end of a P match where rating is exchanged, of course. When the match results window appears, regardless of the setting, your rank must and will be visible. Yeah, absolutely. I don't think anybody has a problem with that. If you've already committed to actually doing PvP, I don't think you care, like, you know, if the other person sees your rank. We've added another feature to the match results window, inspect opponent. Next to each participant's name, you'll find a magnifying glass. Click this button if you want to inspect your opponent's stats, gear, and so on after the match concludes. This option is only available immediately after the match ends, and only while the match results window is open. Okay, that's good. That's very good. Because there's a lot of times where people will log out and then, you know, change their gear, right? But the thing is, like, you know how you can inspect? Like somebody, like right when the game ends, you know how there's like a 10-15 second like time where Diego, like, you know, smokes a blunt, goes into the middle of the arena and then points his sword. You could, like, during that time, port away, change your gear, and then be like, yeah, I was using this, you know? So I don't know if the inspect will, like, lock in when the match starts or something, but I hope that they do that. Because, yeah, you could, if you have to wait for this match result timer, somebody with a fast PC could just port away, change their gear, boom. But that's good that you can, you know, see if somebody's setting or sniping. I just wish that you could take action, because even if you can prove that there's somebody who's setting and sniping, like, they're not going to do anything. Like, King Sal has never banned anybody, or even, you know, muted, or done, and King Sal has never taken any punitive action to somebody that is set or sniped before ever. So yeah, this is nice. Now you can, like, confirm it, but at the same time, I mean, you know, what can you do with that information besides just, like, be salty, you know? Spell audits. The following spell audits oh god, mana burn, oh lord, apply to spell functionality for both. Okay. Mana burn. Oh god, what's happening? Mana burn's damage output has been reduced to account for the value of the pip removal effect. We analyzed the damage output of mana burn across the range of possible opponent pips, then removed 3 ranks of damage, the value adding pip removal to an attack, and recalculated the average damage. The resulting audit reduces the damage from 80 to 50. As this spell is also an attack, its accuracy has been reduced to 85%. I mean... Oh yeah, I don't know why it was 100% before. That was kind of weird, but to align with our audit rules for attack spells, that's perfectly fine. But then shouldn't it be enchantable? You know what I mean? If it's gonna be aligned with the audit, like, shouldn't it be enchanted? I mean, I guess that would, like, remove the purpose of this, but, like, you know, like, that seems a little inconsistent. These changes have been applied to item cards and TCs. Okay, so mana burn is still not enchantable. The accuracy has been reduced, which I don't think really makes a difference at all. But, you know, I guess that's good. And then the DPP has been reduced to 50. I know there's gonna be a lot of people in the comments and just, like, in my streams and stuff going, mana burn's been nerfed, rejoice, and, like, people are, like, throwing parties in the street, and, like, this is the happiest moment in, like, Wiz history. I personally don't think that mana burn was that insane. It was a very strong card, but you also have to understand balance's limitations, right? But with this new Rhoshambo meta and masteries, I can understand that, yes, now that they're not so constricted, they still have limitations. Like, they can't really blade and stuff like other schools can effectively, right? Maybe for their ramps, whatever, but you know what I mean? They can't just, like, blade OT like, you know, basically every other school can besides Life and Storm. But they also have their own things that they can do, right? But yeah, this is probably a good change. It makes me sad, and I hope that, like, mana burn's still gonna be viable, you know what I mean? I think this is a good change because of all the other changes coming with it, and it's gonna prevent people abusing it in a bad way. But yeah, I think it's still gonna be viable, because let's say your opponent has 10 pips, right? And it's 50 per pip. That's still 500 damage for 5 pips, right? Like, even if you're not enchanting it, that's 500 damage for 5 pips and you remove 3 pips. Like, that's not horrible. But then again, like, and you can still prevent combos and stuff. So I think it's going to be more useful as a combo preventer, or when they have, like, yeah, 11, 12 plus pips. Like, they're really maxed out, you know? All right, King Artorias Myth. The impact of King Artorias' dot component has been curtailed by changing the effect from a damage overtime effect, where damage is divided and ticks every round, to a deferred damage. I talked about this on stream, but yeah, basically it kind of works like a burning rampage now, sort of. Which house is... Ooh! The Deviled Egg minion created by this spell has been rebalanced for value and to ensure that its library of existing... English, please. Existing spells is in line with our goals for mid-school identity. As this change affects only the PvP Deviled Egg minion, the functionality of which is house called Pve Enchant. Well, okay, what does this mean, though? Like, you know what I mean? What is that? Rebalance for value? Does that mean that now it's OP? Does that mean now that it's bad? Because I would say currently it's just really RNG. Like, sometimes it's a god. Sometimes it'll literally tower shield you, guiding light itself into like a satyr that does like 1500 damage. And then sometimes it'll literally guiding light itself 12 times, shield itself like 40 times, and then, like, you know, literally do nothing. So I think that if they made it consistently good, like dude, Baba Yaga is already a pretty good spell, especially with Mythic Fuel. I understand King Art is getting nerfed, and that's part of the Holy Trinity that made it so, like, powerful. But still, like, if they just end up buffing the minion and then not changing the damage, that's kind of nutty. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. But I hope that they don't, like, just make the minion, like, horrible as well. And I would be guessing that rebalance for value probably means that it's getting buffed. But at the same time, like, you know, I don't know how I feel about that. That's kind of interesting. Alright, Healing Current Storm. I also went over this on stream, but the healing effect of the spell has been constrained so that the heal is less variable, more predictable, and more useful in more situations. Instead of a healing burst of 100, 400, or 1000, the spell now creates an initial healing burst followed by a heal over time, lasting 3 to 5 rounds. The reason why he didn't specify what the initial healing burst is, which it was 125, right? It used to be, or at least how they originally teased it, was 125 healing right away, and then 125 per turn for either 3, 4, or 5 turns. But I think they want to readjust it because they want a bigger initial boost for, like, PvE and stuff like that. So that's kind of cool too. 4 pip global spells. Whoa. All of these global spells have been standardized. Okay, the 20 pierce, 20. That's a lot, dude. Including all TC variants. Very interesting. Very interesting. School sound spells, all the pre-existing sound spells have been made PvE only. Oh, okay, so they're adding, that's cool too, I like that. I mean, you don't really use sounds in PvE, but that's nice that they didn't just outright remove them, you know? It's gonna be interesting to see if people use these bubs. Because, like, yeah, that's strong, right? 20 pierce, that's huge. But keep in mind, it is 4 pips, you know what I mean? Like, you are dumping quite an investment. Anyway. PvP work in progress. We're already running along, so we'll try to keep this short and sweet. Here's a list of Pve work that is underway but not yet ready for release. Elo. We're working on converting our current flat plus 16, minus 16 rating over to a true Elo system. Fantastic. Rank reset. Please! We need this, dude. When our Elo system is working, possibly invisibly to players, behind the scenes, we will reset your current weight when possibly invisible. Interesting. We'll reset your current 4th age rating and ranks in preparation. Okay, so it would be obvious that the Elo is in place because they would reset the rank, but we wouldn't know what that Elo is or exactly how it's working. Dude, my throat, what's going on? Rewards. Oh, yeah. Of course, we're working on all new rewards for 5th age PvP. While it will certainly include new gear sets, interesting, we have some rewards planned for the best of the best that we will think will be very compelling additions. Okay, that's cool, but I don't think that it should be just for the best of the best. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think there should be rewards for everybody. I think if you're, like, you know, it should be like other games. Like, if you're the kind of player that just, you're just a casual player, but you grind that game, right? Like, you do a ton of PvP, but you just play casually. You're not here to try to be, like, the best, super competitive. There should be, you know, tokens or, you know, PvP tickets that you can use to actually get cool rewards. But there should also be rewards for, yeah, people that want to be competitive and those at the top. So, I think that they should do both. I'm assuming that's what the new gear means, but I think there should be more than that. Like, there should be more incentives, and I think there should be incentives for both sides, right? Casual players that just like to play the game and that don't try to be super competitive, and then, you know, players that do take the game competitively, right? Leagues. We will have to say more on leagues when that work is closer to completion. However, we know that a lot of players would like to know what's going on with low-level Pve, of course, and leagues will help address a lot of our design concerns with that format. Nice. In short, the new tech we've requested for leagues will allow us to create a play environment with specific entry criteria. Example, level 50 wizards and below, specific rule sets, no crit hits, no shads, exactly. So like the beginner queue, I think that's what it's called right now. We may even be able to set up something like a first age league. What? That only allows cards and stats that were in use way back in first age. Wait, that's sick. So it's like, you know how like WoW has like vanilla WoW or something? Dude, that would actually be so cool. I would, oh my god. That would be such a trip down memory lane, like ultra nostalgia. Dude, that'd be amazing. I would love that. Dude, that would be such a fun league to play in. Oh my, I really hope they go through with that. That'd be sick. We've asked for a lot, and while we may not be able to support every rule set when we first launch leagues, we're pretty excited about the possibilities. Dude, same. This is actually big. This is actually huge, this league thing right here. Alright, one last thing. According to my notes here, there's just one question left to answer. When is 5th age? There's a lot to see in PvP in this update and the next, but dare I say, we're almost there. We're not ready to announce the official launch, but we've reached that point where we want to hear from you and ask, are you ready? Yes, dude. Okay, this is great. I really like this. Shout out to homie Ben, aka Big Daddy, aka the Derbster. But yeah, big ups, dude. This is a really good dev diary. I'm very happy with basically everything in here, and I really like the direction the game is going. A lot of cool stuff in here. I know this was a long video, but you know, I really wanted to kind of go over everything. So this Rhoshambo stuff with the masteries is really interesting. I think it'll really diversify Pve, which I'm looking forward to. Chess timer, I think at first will be rocky. I think at first players are gonna be like, dude, what the heck is this? People are like stalling, like, you know, I lost the game even though I was about to win because my timer went to 0. But I think with the proper tweaking, it'll be good for the game. No Pvp Enchant is fine for those specific spells. I think this is cool too. It's just a minor quality of life update. These spell audits I think are mostly good. And then this stuff is really good. He didn't go that much into detail because they're not ready to, you know, fully release that. But this is like the meat and potatoes. This is like the really juicy stuff, you know. So I'm very excited. My prediction for 5th age, I would say at the earliest it's gonna be in January. I believe that PvP actually came to the game in January of 2009, if I'm not mistaken. So that'd be pretty cool if they did, like, you know, they were like, all right, 5th age, boom, we're going back to our roots, release that in January. I would say that the test run for Lemuria is coming out probably in a week. So like, you know, November 10th or something like that, around that date, November 10th to 17th, something like that, with the actual game coming out 2 to 3 weeks later. And then I would say at the earliest, they're not going to release PvP test run for at least a month after. It would be kind of smart though if they did it during like winter break, when, you know, a lot of kids and, you know, college students and stuff are, you know, have more free time so they can kind of experiment and stuff. So I would say at the earliest we would get PvP test run late December with it dropping January. And I would say at the, or did I say latest? I mean at the earliest. And then at the latest I would say 5th age would come out with the spring update. That'd be my guess, but I hope we don't have to wait that long. Anyway, I think this was an awesome dev diary. I'm really excited for the future of PvP. I hope you guys are too. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Oh, disconnected for inactivity. I would love to hear your guys' thoughts about everything and kind of just what you think the future of Pve is going to look like. Also, I'm going to be trying to get back on that daily upload grind as we approach Lemuria. So I'm going to be trying to upload some more PvP, maybe even some PvE content as well. You know, all that good stuff. And if you want to check out my Twitch, it'll be in the comments in the description down below. I stream Wiz typically Sunday through Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern, and it's a lot of fun and super lit. Definitely come by, say hi, all that good stuff. Thank you guys so much for watching. I cannot express enough how grateful I am for your guys' support. I love each and every single one of you. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I'll see you guys in the next one. As always, peace out, guys.